Hi, I'm Big Kev, and behind me in my garage is my bobber. Now, I was going to make a video outside today of me changing my rear shock absorber. However, the Scottish weather's got other ideas, so we're going to nip into the garage and we'll get cracking. So this video, the main purpose of this video is to discuss and show you my choice for the replacement rear shock absorber. Now I purchased a replacement shock well before I even took delivery of my bobber. After spending quite a bit of time on the internet doing some research, I came to the decision to buy an M-Shock, which I believe is made by Shock Factory. So the shock arrives pretty well boxed, and you can see that. And I purchased this from a company called Bike Revival, which is, they have a website, Bike Revival, but I actually found them by looking up motorcycleshockabsorbers.co.uk, so an English-based company. So inside the box, we've obviously got some packing, the shock absorber itself, and then at the bottom here there's a instruction card that says, "Thank you for choosing M-Shock. Behind this card are your fitting instructions and a C-spanner. Don't throw them away with the packaging." So if we take a look at the instructions that have come with my new shock, you can see that it is M-Shock and it is from the Shock Factory. Tells you what it's for, the Triumph bobber, mounting information, adjuster position should be at the bottom, and then it tells you over this side what the dampening adjustment and the factory settings have been set at for my weight and my riding style, as per the information that I provided to them when I purchased it. Okay, so side by side comparison, you can see the original Triumph shock on the left and the new M-Shock on the right. And you can see on the Triumph that there's no adjustment on it, and from what I'm told or what I've read online, this is a shock that's designed and developed for the average weight of the average rider, which will be somewhere in the region of 70 to 80 kgs, I imagine. And I'm 110 kgs without my gear on, so a bit undersized for myself. So in the shock on the right, the M-Shock, you can see at the top of it there it's got dampening adjustment. We've then got spring preload adjustment. Quite nicely painted, looks quite good quality. Now, one thing to note is that the original shock on the bobber is mounted with the piston side at the top, so up under the seat, where the rod extending downwards. Now with the new shock, the dampening adjuster would be in the way of the seat mount. It does tell you on the instructions that come with it that the adjuster position should be at the bottom, so then therefore when you install it, it needs to be installed in the opposite direction to what the original shock would be. So there we have it bolted in. Looks pretty good. Quite an easy fit. Now this isn't a step-by-step video obviously, but a couple of things to note is that you're going to need a T50 to access to take off the bolts that secure each end of the shock. T50 Torx, that is. You're going to need some way to lift the chassis of the bike up. Now I don't have a bike lift, but I do have an engine lift, so I managed to run a strop through and lift it that way, because you're going to have to take tension off the shock and the swing arm. You're also going to need a T20 Torx to take these three little screws out that hold this cover plate on, so you can access through to the bolt there. But other than that, you've got three small screws, two bolts, and that's really about it. One other thing perhaps worth mentioning is on the seat, or the seat mount rather. Now at the front of the seat mount, where it secures onto the bike, you've got this horizontal thread that runs straight through the seat mount. The way it connects to the bike, on the left hand side of the bike, you've got a hole that runs through that's essentially the same size as a bolt, but on the other side it's bored out, and inside that there's this little bush that fits in from the outside of it. Now I'm not really sure what the reason for that is, why they've gone for a bush on that side rather than just another hole straight through, but it's worth noting when you're taking it apart, and obviously when you're reassembling it. Maybe worth mentioning at this stage also, when remounting the seat, that you're going to need the T50 Torx again for the 2 horizontal bolts that hold the seat mount, and a T40 for the vertical forward one that's just under the front of the tank there. So just as I thought that the sky had cleared and the sun was going to come out, it's cloudy again and it's just starting to spit, so I better hurry up and do this and then get the bike back in the garage. So there she is, all back together, new shock installed, seat bolted on, tank bolted on, tightened up. One thing maybe is to note that the bolts are torqued. I did manage to find some manuals online which stated that the shock bolts are 48 Newton meters, as is the seat mount bolts, the horizontal seat mount bolts. And I have adjusted the seat also, which is done from a couple of bolts under there at the seat mount, and they're 38 Newton meters. Now just before I go, I'll also note that I changed the standard chain yesterday to the DID 525 gold chain, and you can see I've also removed the chain guard, which I think looks pretty good. I maybe put the chain guard back at some point, so I don't really fancy getting chain oil up my back, but I think I'll probably cut it down a little bit first, because I'm not really a fan of the stock Triumph chain guard. Anyway, there you go. I hope this video was of some interest. I've got a few more mods up my sleeve, so feel free to check back and see what I'm up to next. Cheers.